I'm Faye, and today, inspired by the video 2 years ago, I think, on Mercy's Bookish Musings channel, I'm coming at you with the 5 books that I expect I'm going to give 5 stars. These books I've treated myself recently in the bookshop, so these are all sparkly and new in my possession, and all 5 of them I am predicting and hoping I will love. The first one is I Am by Maggie O'Farrell. I've heard many things about this book, positive books, and I'm laughing because I have something like 2 books of her, fiction books of her, in my TBR bookshelf already, and I've yet to read anything by hers. This, however, is also in the little subtitle entitled 17 Brushes with Death, and in a sort of essay format she talks about all these different experiences, these near-death experiences that have shaped her and influenced her in her life. I think the concept is really interesting. I've heard that it is written exceptionally well, and I am ready to read a book that deals with death in what I'm expecting, positive and unafraid manner, which I think is quite rare. So I'm really looking forward to this one. Then next I got When I Hit You by Meena Kandasamy, I'm not sure how to pronounce this, unfortunately, but this is about a domestic abuse relationship between a woman in India who has recently married a university professor who abuses her. And I think this is interesting, not just because I'm weird and I like the content matter, but also because the abuser, the husband, is a highly educated, acclaimed person, which I think is quite often underrepresented. I quite often think people naively peg this kind of behaviour on the uneducated, which is daft in itself. So I'm looking forward to reading this. That sounds a bit too chipper for the topic, but I have also heard good things about this. So this one and the previous book I had on my radar a bit more before actually going into the bookshop. The next wasn't on my radar, but that's New Boy by Tracy Chevalier. All of these have these annoying stickers. I'll have to try and get those off. This is part of the Hogarth Shakespeare collection of books, all these retellings of Shakespeare plays. This one is a retelling of Othello, but it is set in a high school setting, I think. The new black boy befriends the super popular blonde girl, and then jealousy and school bullying ensues. I'm quite curious to see how this translates into a sort of child setting. I quite like reading books that are more about like child characters that aren't necessarily geared towards a younger reading audience. So I'm looking forward to this one. Also, it's quite slim, and I just gotta admit that I do have a soft spot for shorter novels. Then the 4th book that I'm hoping to read, although I think it might be the most brave prediction because I've read some quite interesting reviews about this, is The Pisces by Melissa Broder. This, from the blurb at least, follows our main character Lucy, who after having hit a few snags in the road in her life, moves to her sister's in LA to dog sit over the summer, and falls in love with a merman. And I love the fact that I just read the beginning of a review on Goodreads, and then I was afraid that it would give too much away, that pegged this as merman erotica, which I just think is a hilarious genre. So I'm like, even if that's just all it is, I'm down for that. But yeah, I'm imagining a sort of fantastic, surreal, what's the word everyone always uses? Fantastic realism? Magical realism? Well, mermans, sort of meshed together with just a sort of simple love story about some girl who's like in her late 20s, something like that. I don't know, it sounds fun, but could also be a bit cringy. Then again, I'm a real sucker for more steamy love stories. So I'm down for it, and also I think the cover is hilarious as well. So that's the Pisces, which I'm hoping to enjoy very much. And then finally, my fifth book is My Absolute Darling by Gabriel, Tallent. This is about a teenage girl who's grown up with her survivalist father, and after, I think, falling in love or making new friends in school, sort of realizes that that is not actually the life she wants. Last year, 2 years ago, something like that, I read Our Endless Numbered Days by Claire Fuller, which also is about a girl who spent a large chunk of her life as a teenager with her survivalist father. That's why I'm talking about that. That book I liked, and I was hooked by the premise, but I disliked some of the tropey things that were sort of put into that book. I'm hoping that this is a bit more of a fresh and maybe not so thrillery or sort of incestuous story. I'm afraid I might have spoiled Our Endless Numbered Days for you now. Oops. This one I am hoping to like. I've read very little about it, but I was also just hooked by the cover. I think this is an amazingly cool cover. I do like any cover that just sort of has patterns and naturey things on the front. So even though I do like the topic, it's a really like typical Faye story. I've heard quite little about this. Tell me if you've read this or are planning to read this, if it's on your radar, because then we can read it together and hope that it's great. So yeah, those are the 5 books. I'm super excited to read these. I've done quite a few hauls in the recent past about with lots of books that were sort of second-hand buys, charity buys, books that I was gifted, used books by my grandmother, and even though that's really exciting because you get this amazing backlist, I am also really pumped to just treat yourself and get these books new. So shiny, such a shiny feeling, new books. So yeah, those are my 5-star prediction books. I'll try to read these in the near future, and I'll check back in with you and tell you if I really did think they were as great as I'm hoping. Until though, I'll see you soon. Bye bye.